Do you want to know something that nobody has ever confessed to you? You are trapped. Yes, you. You are trapped in a prison that you yourself built, brick by invisible brick. With every decision you made, based on what others might think. With every action you abandoned for fear of failure. With every fake smile that hid your true desire to scream. Do you feel it? That oppression in your chest? It is not anxiety. It is not stress. It is the unbearable weight of a life lived for an invisible audience. A life designed to please spectators who don't even pay admission to see your act. And do you know what is the cruelest part? Nobody asked you to make that sacrifice. Nobody asked you to surrender your freedom, your essence, your authenticity. You did it voluntarily. You chained yourself to the expectations of others, selling your identity in exchange for a flicker of applause, for a moment of approval. This feeling, this constant, low-grade fear of judgment is a silent epidemic, a disease of the soul that paralyzes the best among us. Before we go any deeper, I want you to perform a small act of rebellion. Pause for a moment. Go to the comments and answer this one question. What is one thing you would do if you knew nobody would judge you? Just one thing. Let's see how much freedom is locked away in this community. Done? Good. Now you see you are not alone. And now, your real education begins. Because a French nobleman from his silent tower in the 16th century saw clearly what you don't want to accept. Michel de Montaigne understood that the key to freedom is not to win the approval of others, but to become indifferent to it. And today, we will use his wisdom as a blade to cut your chains. The disease of approval. To escape a prison, you must first understand its architecture, its guards, and its warden. The prison of needing approval is the most insidious of all, because its warden is you. You believe the problem is external, the judgment of your boss, your family, your peers. But the real prison is internal. It is a psychological construct we call the tribunal in your head. This tribunal is in session 24/7. It is a phantom court with a phantom judge and a phantom jury, constantly evaluating your every thought and action. It is the source of the voice that whispers, "What will they think? Don't say that, you'll sound foolish. Don't try that, you might fail." This internal tribunal operates on 3 fundamental flawed laws that keep you perpetually incarcerated. Law 1, the law of absolute control. The tribunal convinces you that the only way to avoid negative judgment is to achieve absolute control over every aspect of your life. It sells you the illusion that if you can just plan everything perfectly, anticipate every outcome, and manage every impression, then everything will turn out well. You will be safe from criticism. This is a mental trap designed to keep you busy, distracted, and disconnected from what really matters. The more you obsess over having control, the more you slide towards anxiety and silent desperation. You become so busy preparing for a life that never arrives, that you never actually live. Have you ever wondered why you feel that inexplicable void, despite apparently having it all? It's because what you have isn't really yours. Your success, your relationships, even your thoughts are contaminated by the constant worry about how they will be perceived. This obsession with control is not a sign of strength. It is a symptom of your terror of the unpredictable nature of life itself. The more you try to control, the less control you actually have. The more you resist change, the stronger it hits you when it inevitably comes. The world does not function under your control, and it never will. Accepting this is not weakness. It is wisdom. Life, in its chaos and unpredictability, demands something very simple, but terrifying: to let go. Let go of your need for approval. Let go of your fear of failing. Let go of that false identity you've created to protect yourself from others' judgment. The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. Michel de Montaigne. Law 2, the law of the externalized self. The tribunal sentences you to live a life where your sense of self is located outside of you. Your identity becomes a reflection in the eyes of others. You need their applause to feel successful. You need their validation to feel worthy. You need their permission to feel authentic. This is the cruelest form of enslavement. You become a chameleon, constantly changing your colors to fit the expectations of your environment. You are so accustomed to pretending that you don't even notice the immense effort you make daily to sustain an image that doesn't represent you. But the mind is relentless. Even if you try to ignore it, there will always be something within you that rebels. That stress, that anxiety, that constant feeling of emptiness, they are simply the logical consequence of a life lived for others. Montaigne saw this with piercing clarity. He wrote that most people prefer the security of an uncomfortable life before the risk of facing the uncertainty of being themselves. They prefer to continue with a half-life, settling for crumbs of happiness, rather than facing the terrifying risk of discovering who they really are. Because deep down, the tribunal has convinced you of a terrible lie, that if you let go of all the masks, all the personas, all the external validation, maybe nothing would remain. You fear that your identity has been so diluted, so mixed with the external, that upon letting go of all that, maybe nothing would remain. This fear of inner emptiness is the deepest chain of all. Law 3. The law of assumed malice. The tribunal operates on the paranoid assumption that the world is a hostile courtroom, and everyone is a potential juror ready to deliver a guilty verdict. It teaches you to view every social interaction as a high-stakes performance, and every person as a potential critic. This makes you defensive, cautious, and inauthentic. You filter every word. You second-guess every impulse. You live in a state of preemptive shame, apologizing for your own existence before anyone has even had a chance to judge you. This constant fear contaminates everything. You can't enjoy your success because you're worried about the envy of others. You can't be vulnerable in your relationships because you fear being seen as weak. You can't pursue your true ambitions because you fear the ridicule that comes with failure. The brutal truth is that most people are far too absorbed in their own inner dramas to be paying such close attention to you. They are not your dedicated critics. They are the distracted audience of their own lives. The tribunal in your head projects your own self-judgment onto the world and calls it reality. You are not trapped by their opinions. You are trapped by your fear of their opinions. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. By acting as if you are being judged, you become awkward and stilted, which in turn invites the very judgment you sought to avoid. So you see the prison. You see the laws that govern it. You see the warden is your own mind. How do you escape? Here is the turn, the liberating and brutal truth that Montaigne whispered from his tower centuries ago. By letting go of what you are not, for the first time you can clearly see what you are. The freedom you seek is just on the other side of the fear that now paralyzes you. It is not in a self-help book, nor in motivational advice. It is here, in this precise moment, waiting for you to have the courage to face your life. This journey of liberation requires you to master 3 new, powerful arts. These are the keys to your cell. Key 1. The Art of Philosophical Detachment. The detachment you so fear is precisely the key that opens the door to your freedom. This is not indifference. It is wisdom. It is the Stoic practice of building what they called an inner citadel. An inner citadel is a fortress within your mind, a place of unshakable tranquility that no external opinion can penetrate. You build this fortress by constantly practicing the dichotomy of control, ruthlessly separating what is in your power from what is not. The opinions of others? Not in your power. Their judgment? Not in your power. Their approval? Not in your power. The unpredictable chaos of the world? Not in your power. Your response to their opinions? your choice to act despite their judgment, your decision to grant approval to yourself. These are the only things in your absolute command. When you truly internalize this, the tribunal in your head loses its jurisdiction. Its verdicts become meaningless noise. You stop reacting to the external world and start acting from your internal center. You let go of the sick need to please, to fit in, to avoid criticism at all costs. You accept that some people will not like you, and you find a profound peace in that acceptance. This detachment does not mean abandoning what you love. It means understanding that only from a place of absolute inner freedom can you love and build genuinely. Everything you possess from a place of anxiety and attachment ends up possessing you. A man who is not afraid of suffering is not afraid of anyone. Michel de Montaigne. Key 2. The Art of Active Authenticity. For years, you have been a passive creation, shaped by fear and insecurity. The second key is to become an active creator, to embrace the Nietzschean ideal of becoming who you are. This is not a passive discovery. It is an act of will. It is a declaration. You must ask yourself the terrifying question: who would I be without this constant fear? What would I do if I knew nobody would ever judge me? That person you see in your mind right now, that version of yourself who lives without mental chains, is who you really are. Your task is not to find him, but to build him. Action by action, decision by decision. This requires courage. The courage to be true to yourself, even if it means challenging expectations, breaking patterns, and sometimes disappointing those you love. Because here's another paradox. If you really need to pretend to maintain what you have, then it was never yours in the first place. True relationships, the projects that really matter, the achievements worth keeping, they survive perfectly well with authenticity. On the contrary, only by being authentic do you discover what really matters and what was simply taking up space. In reality, you have much less to lose than you imagine, and much more to gain than you believe. Key 3. The Art of the Deliberate Leap. You have all the knowledge. You see the prison. You hold the keys. But there is one final, terrifying step. You must take the leap into the unknown, into a life you do not fully control, but that will at least truly be yours. Most people live in fear of losing what they have because they've never allowed themselves to discover what would happen if they lost it. They cling desperately to relationships, jobs, and prefabricated identities. And in that effort, they forget that real life begins right when you stop clinging to what doesn't represent you. This leap is not a single grand gesture. It is a series of small, deliberate choices. It is saying no when your every instinct screams yes to please someone. It is pursuing a project for its own sake, not for the applause it might bring. It is speaking your truth in a small meeting, even if your voice shakes. It is the decision to stop climbing ladders that others built, without ever questioning whether you really wanted to get there. Each of these small acts of courage is a blow against the walls of your prison. Each one rewrites a line of the internal script that has directed your life for so long. You have to know who you really are beyond the mask, beyond the expectations, and beyond that false version of yourself that you present to the world every day. The path is unsettling, but I assure you, the only thing more terrifying than moving towards that freedom is staying exactly where you are now. You will continue living by inertia, afraid to discover who you are. Or you will finally have enough courage to let go of the known and launch yourself into the uncertainty that terrifies you, but holds the possibility of discovering something much more valuable: who you really are, away from control, approval, and fear. This is the philosophy of detachment. This is the pursuit of inner freedom that will change absolutely everything you thought you knew about yourself. The decision is solely in your hands. Will you continue to live trapped in a golden cage built by yourself? Or will you accept the risk of jumping into the unknown, into a freedom that may terrify you, but that will ultimately make you feel alive? This is the path Montaigne walked from his silent tower, and it is the same path that now lies before you. Will you dare to walk it, or will you settle for continuing to be a spectator of your own existence? The answer is yours alone. Welcome to the end of your life as a spectator. Welcome to the beginning of your life as its author. Say to yourself now, I no longer need anyone's approval. I no longer need to control the unpredictable. I no longer need to pretend who I am not. If you are ready to dissolve the tribunal in your head, if you are ready to let go of the need for approval and reclaim the right to belong to yourself, then make your declaration. Join the others who are choosing this path. Go to the comments and write, with absolute conviction, I am my own. It is a declaration of sovereignty, a statement that your worth is no longer up for debate in any court, real or imagined. Subscribe to the Thinker's Codex. Your journey to true freedom has just begun.